Good morning, Alexander.
Good morning.
Thank you for accepting this interview. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, you cannot be present here in Namur.
Yeah.
So we're doing this through Skype. I've watched your movie yesterday, but could you tell us maybe what happened the night of the 30 October 2015?
Yeah, so the story starts with a fire in a nightclub in Bucarest. It was a very popular club where many people went to, very young people actually, and it caught fire during a concert and burned down, and because it had no fire exits, many people died inside. And but our story, and actually the biggest catastrophe, was that the authorities, together with hospital managers, lied that they are able to take care of the burn patients, which were around 180 people that were burned. And because Romania had no facilities to take care of burn patients, actually, many more people died in hospitals. And although everybody and the parents and everybody asked them to transfer them to other clinics outside of Romania, burn clinics, and they refused it. So actually they condemn people to die, and it is then that we follow investigative journalists that uncover a massive fraud and corruption within the healthcare system, and we get to understand why these people are so dehumanized and ready to kill people just for profit. What is also happening now in the pandemic in many countries.
Pentru pe cineva drag, Mădălina. Tragic, dureros pentru toți. Din păcate, sistemul este un putregai. Cum e posibil ca oameni care au ieșit de acolo să moară după 12 zile?
And when the news broke and the days passed by, the weeks, did you immediately think of making a documentary during the investigation?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I thought about that because the fire also started massive demonstrations in the country, and it was for the first time since the revolution that so many young people went to the streets claiming the corrupt political class to step down, because it was clear that this fire could not have happened if there wouldn't have been corruption, because such a club would not have functioned. And we understood that it is a turning point in the Romanian society. It felt like the young generation had enough and understood that we know that Romania is corrupt, but nobody really understood until then that corruption really kills.
In the beginning of the documentary, the first scene we see are actually mourning families, but also footage of the concert. I was personally not expecting to see these shocking images as early on in the documentary. Was it on purpose? Did you really think that through?
It was not on purpose to shock, if that's the question. We felt it is important for the viewer to understand how fast one's life can change. That really within seconds your life can change, and you become dependent on the society you're living in, and on the functioning of the society you're living in, and on the professionalism of the authorities.
Do you consider your work to be more journalistic or more cinematographic?
No, I'm a filmmaker, I'm a storyteller. Indeed, we had our own investigative team when we put the project together and looked in all directions to see what the right characters would be to follow. And our investigative team was made out of journalists, so we really checked on our sources from 3 sides and objectively, so that the viewer experiences the situation, because we really see a story from a journalist's point of view, from a politician's point of view. And I think here I really, it's important to be not a journalist but a storyteller, because I think a storyteller sees things a bit different in a more cinematic way. I had to translate what I see into a cinematic story.
L-am alături pe jurnalistul Cătălin Tolontan, care s-a implicat profund în ancheta acestui caz care a schimbat un întreg guvern.
So you contacted Cătălin Tolontan. How did he accept to work with you, actually?
Not from the beginning. So at first he denied. So he said, no way, you can't come here with your camera. A newsroom has to be protected. We have to protect our information. We have to protect our journalists and the whistleblowers.
So you were allowed to film during an ongoing investigation.
Yes.
Was it hard to work during the investigation with the ongoing revelations during it?
As you see in the film, everything we film is happening in that moment. I never ask somebody to do anything again, or I really film observational. So there's no repetition. And it was hard from that point of view, because we had to be ready to film anytime. But I think it was more complicated, let's say,
with the whistleblowers, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. So with the whistleblowers, it was the same thing, that we met them, and within 2 or 3 minutes I had to be able to gain their trust and let me film that. And we had a very clear deal. We're filming what you're gonna tell the journalists now. We're filming your revelations, but when the film will be edited, which can happen in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, we didn't know at that time, we will watch again, and it will be your decision if you still want to be in this film, if you want to be a public person, if you want to become public. And luckily, these courageous women that really changed the year 2016 in Romania, because people changed their view of information and press because of their revelations. Luckily, they were courageous and said, no, we're going forward.
We are also witnessing some privileged scenes at the ministry's office at some point. Mm-hmm. Can we salute their transparency at that point?
Yes, I think we can, because at that point, this minister was practically, he was not a politician. He was a citizen. He was a patient's activist, and he was brought in by the technocrat government. They said, okay, we come from outside the system, and our first aim is to be transparent. And then we had this deal, I can film everything. He will never say, stop the camera. And I think it's important because it was the first time that a minister, somebody in a public, in this public...
in a high place also.
In a high place, was telling the truth. So he was the first one to go in front of the press and say, no, we cannot treat burn patients.
It's 5 years after the incident and all the revelations. Are the hospitals now respecting European standards?
No, I don't think that they respect the European standards. They are the same as they were before. They are too old. They have to be built new hospitals, and the state, the governments, just refuse to do it. They promise it every time and have very big plans on papers, but it never happens. But what happened after Colectiv, which really changed the Romanian society, is that civil society was formed that is so strong as it was not before. Gathered, for example, money that we all donated, 30 million euro. Even Metallica donated, I don't know how much, 200,000 or 300,000 euro.
Oh, yeah.
And built a hospital. So the people understood after Colectiv, if they don't want to take care of, if they kill us, then we will take our society back.